of a sudden, football is back in the air. Leader Fan Radio Network.
Tweet that.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes, 1 second past 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. We welcome you back to a very snowy edition of the Bumper to Bumper program on a, it almost feels Snownami-like Wednesday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro. I'm joined as always by Guardsy, the producer of the broadcast, and we are delighted that you are along for today's ride that will, I think, take us all the way till 6:30 again tonight.
It will.
6:30, 3 until 6:30. There will be a heavy Olympic emphasis, as has been the case really ever since the Winter Olympics began. On this show today, we'll give you some updates on guests in that regard. We'll certainly keep you posted on USA versus Sweden. The puck has just been dropped for the start of period number 2. In the wake of a dramatic, really good quarterfinal matchup, shocking, between the allegedly unstoppable Canada and the Czechs. And the Czechs had them right where they wanted them until they didn't.
They did. Canada
ends up winning it, scoring late in regulation to tie it. I think with about 3 minutes to go, and then winning it in the 3-on-3 10-minute overtime. What, about 3 or 4 minutes into it, I'd say?
Seemed like it, yeah.
Didn't seem like it was out that long.
After Cheskia had a great opportunity to end it.
Oh.
Good save by your guy, Binnington, and the rest is history.
I thought, it was a great opportunity. I thought it almost felt like he got a little bit off too far to the left. I didn't think he made the most of the opportunity.
That's fair.
It's still a good play by the goalie for sure. So there will be plenty of hockey. There'll be plenty of other subjects covered between now and 6:30 tonight. But when I look out the window and I see the Snownami, I think football. I feel like it's back in the air. I'd kind of forgotten about it because when it gets to 52 degrees, it feels like, well, spring's coming. We're in the abyss. We're moving past it. There's nothing left to say about the Minnesota Vikings at this point, so why bother? Yet I now feel inspired to reopen our Minnesota Vikings quarterback investigation. It's an ongoing investigation on this program in which we attempt to explore exactly how we got here and where we might be headed. Two pretty crucial issues for any professional football team. Certainly this one included. And it's funny, about halfway through the season, I don't remember the exact date, but it was after one of J.J. McCarthy's most disastrous performances. And there were several.
We're going to have to narrow that down.
I know. It was one of them.
Yeah.
I got a text from a listener who has, I think, some knowledge of my background. Maybe was trying to create a callback situation that would get my attention. And the premise of the question was, is it possible that the Vikings drafted another Bobby Douglas? Now, Bobby Douglas is a quarterback that we have occasionally talked about on the show, but that is not very well known, certainly to the kids. I'm not even sure a lot of old-timers outside the Chicago area would remember him because there wasn't really much reason to. Bobby Douglas was he hailed out of, I believe it was Kansas University or the University of Kansas. I never know which is right in the case of the Kansas Jayhawks.
Well, they call themselves KU, but I think it's the University of Kansas.
It's very confusing. Yeah, it's exactly it. IU at least says, we are Indiana University. Don't call us University of Indiana.
That's
we don't like it.
Yep.
And by God, now you better call us exactly what we want to be called. But I digress. And Douglas was one of several. You think the Vikings have had difficulty over the decades figuring out the quarterback position? Double-A ball compared to the struggles of the monsters of the Midway, really going all the way back to my childhood. I mean, my early childhood. I'm talking about going back to the early 60s. They did win an NFL title in 63, and obviously they won the Super Bowl in 85. But between 63 and 85, they used pretty much every quarterback, and they were all terrible. And And one of them was Bobby Douglas. And, I remember the text, and I don't know if I commented on it publicly because I didn't know in that day whether I really wanted to go into it. I didn't even think it was fair because there were two things about Bobby Douglas that stood out in the time I watched him play. He wasn't very productive. He wasn't very accurate. And in a football sense, he had some doofus factor to him.
Did he call himself 10?
He did not, but that was his number.
I'm looking at him right now.
That's it. But what part of the reason I stayed away from it was, erratic thrower, but I'm not sure at that point it was fair to say that the doofus factor might be high with J.J. McCarthy. So I filed it away. Maybe for a rainy day, or in this case, a snowy day like today. And today, it kind of fits. Because a story we've not discussed, but I'm sure has been the topic of conversation around the water cooler and around the fan, and maybe on several other shows, is courtesy of the Athletics' Alec Lewis, who covers the Vikings for the Athletic and has occasionally been on our show. He's on with PA, I think, every week. And others, as far as I know, perhaps. And Lewis, in one of his more recent pieces, suggested that the Vikings decided to, shall we say, dumb it down a little bit during the season. At that point, I'm going, well, maybe the Bobby Douglas analogy isn't so bad. By dumbing it down, in his case, he said, we virtually eliminated over-the-middle passing plays, which sounds preposterous to me in the National Football League level. How you could even consider eliminating over-the-middle passing plays it just doesn't even seem in 2026 for the quarterback whisperer that could even be a possibility. But on the other hand, if he felt obligated to do it, that's a 4-alarm fire. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be about dumbing it down. It could also be touch. And that's where Douglas and there's two main differences between Bobby Douglas, the 70s, late 60s and 70s, and J.J. McCarthy. Bobby Douglas was built like a linebacker. J.J. McCarthy is built a little bit like Rob Dillingham.
Yeah.
Big difference in their body types and their strength, right?
6'4", 225 is
enormous guy.
Douglas is listed as.
Enormous guy. I think he was the first quarterback to ever rush for over 1,000 yards or come close to it. Others, I think broke that record, but that's basically what he did.
He was the first.
Best. He was the first. Okay. So now I'm thinking to myself, maybe that guy had something going when he threw that out there. The other difference is Bobby Douglas is left-handed. As far as I remember, J.J. McCarthy is right-handed, correct?
Yes.
He's not a left-handed quarterback.
Well, he's throwing right-handed. I don't know if it's been established.
All thumbs from time to time. That's very, very true, Davey. Here's the quote, the comment in the Alec Lewis piece. Applying touch to passes, a pre-draft question the Vikings themselves had, remained a struggle. In 2025, Minnesota also removed most of its over-the-middle passing concepts throughout the season to keep his line of sight as simple as possible. Now, that sounds like dumbing it down. The touch part also affects your ability to throw passes, you could say shorter passes, intermediate passes over the middle. Similar to Douglas. Douglas had a cannon of an arm. A cannon. He could have been a baseball pitcher. Hell, Twins might have been able to add him to their rotation as long as he was willing to take, salary minimum. But he had no touch on the ball, no ability to put. In baseball, what do they call it? To pull the string on it a little bit.
Sure.
Change up, where the most important thing isn't to fire a fastball. I think does Brady call it a one ball?
Yeah.
Is that the fastball?
One is the fastball, yep.
Sometimes you don't need, in fact, sometimes the one ball hurts you. And that's all Bobby Douglas seemed willing or capable of figuring out how to throw. Doofus factor high. One of the rumors going around was that he had such difficulty recognizing blitzes that the Bears designated a lackey to sound a bullhorn on the sidelines when coaches on the sidelines recognize the blitz coming. I don't know if that's ever been confirmed, but it's believable because that's how Bobby Douglas rolled. So now I'm starting to, how, in all seriousness, I've said and you said, I think, don't throw too much at him from the beginning.
Right.
Run the ball effectively, safer passes. I don't think that's dumbing it down. I think that's being smart. But when you tell me, if this report is accurate, that you virtually eliminated throws over the middle, I'm going, what kind of world are we living in here? How is that even in your, like I said, if you have to do that at any point in the development of a quarterback, the alarm bells are going off in my head, and I'm saying, well, is there any way can we give him away? Can we trade him? Did you not find that disturbing? I found it, and I have no reason to doubt it. Lewis is a very accurate reporter.
Yes,
and I don't know if other people have responded to it. That's an alarming symptom of what seems, among the many things that seems to ail J.J. McCarthy in trying to convince ourselves that he has a chance to be an accomplished professional quarterback.
Well, I think the only follow-up I would have is, do you intend to ever bring those back? And then the second part of that would be, do you think you will ever be able to bring them back? So
that would be, if for the head coach, that would be your two-part. If in a press conference,
yes,
Guardsy would raise his hand and say, Coach, I've got a two-part question.
Right.
And then repeat the question.
I'd say, do you intend, well, it'd probably be three. Is it true that Alec Lewis reported, is it true that you've eliminated most of your over-the-middle passing concepts? Do you intend on bringing those back? Do you anticipate having the ability to bring those back with 9? Isn't that the question?
Yes.
Because I actually I don't mind it as much. It's troubling. But we talked about it all season. They should have been incrementally bringing him along as opposed to, here's the Cousins playbook, good luck with it, and now we're stripping stuff away. If you think you have no chance of bringing that stuff back with them, then I think we know what we're doing here. Then it's over.
Well, here's the kicker. Despite all those efforts to dumb things down and to eliminate him even having to consider certain options in reading the field, he still had the worst interception rate in the entire National Football League. I mean, I'm just saying. So, to the texter who sent that text to me probably sometime last October.
Man, now we're thinking
whenever it
about
was, I'm going, man, press it. You might be right. I was trying to give JJ benefit of the doubt on the doofus factor. Even though, from an accuracy standpoint, it's not a bad analogy. But now, based on this, I'm going, man, that's a, let's just put it this way. It's not impossible to get better, but those are really significant hills to climb at this level of professional football. They really, not the brightest bulb, and has no touch or accuracy to such a degree that we eliminated. Because I would have thought, part of me was like, well, don't be afraid to eliminate the 27-yard pass. The idea that he's got to go over the top all the time.
Sure.
Now, maybe the over-the-middle passes are actually harder in some ways, but you want to talk about challenge ahead? If you do not trust your quarterback, even in his first year, enough to include in the occasional over-the-middle pass where you eliminate it from your system, you can't trust him to stay healthy, you can't trust him to throw over the middle, and you really can't trust his football intellect? Godspeed in your effort. And if the other quarterback who's allegedly going to compete for the job in training camp this year is listening to this program live or via podcast later, this should be your inspiration to not be afraid to come here. To say, even if they don't proclaim that the job is mine, I've got an excellent chance, based on everything I'm hearing and reading, to indeed win the job. Let's do this. Let's get our first pause in. Again, we'll continue to keep an eye on men's Olympic hockey. Is it still 0-0?
It is. Looks like
Sweden,
we had a good little chance.
We had a good chance there. We're about almost halfway through period 2. Looks like shots on goal, we're up 16-14. Fairly even there. And no score for either club. And it's what we talked about with Louis yesterday. Sweden is plucky. They are dangerous. And it's best of 1. It's not best of 7. It's best of 1. It's what makes Olympic hockey, I think, great. But it also is what makes Olympic hockey extremely dangerous. Verification code as we speak for Hip Cricket. Let's see if I can get that in there. See what kind of reaction we're getting via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Do want to remind you that, of course, it does this now every day. The first 3 times I do it, no matter that the number's accurate, it doesn't matter.
Makes you work.
It basically says, shut everything down and start over. It's the most maddening, I said before, the most maddening concept. Nothing brings a show to a quicker halt these days. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe that's the bit. I'm not exactly sure. But I'll try to get to it because I want to hear what the folks have to say. Because I'm assuming we're going to hear from the McBobos who are going to say, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to take these shots? They come to me. Do we have pay dirt in Cortina Milano?
The United States of America have taken a 1-0 lead over Sweden with 8:57 to go in the second period. I looked up and the puck was in the back of the net. I don't know who shot it. Taking a look here, I think Husey had something to say.
Well, of course he did.
Good pass there. Good shot. Was that deflected? Who is that? Oh, that was deflected.
It was tipped, yeah. No question.
Beauty. Larkin. Past Markstrom, 1-0, USA.
The all-important first goal in a game that's been very nerve-wracking, I think it's fair to say.
The Hughes brothers get the assists.
There you go. Should I text Garen right now? See if I get a reaction. Should I try to get him going and saying, why is this game so close?
You could, yeah. But then he'd be the second person in this segment to have a meltdown about the text. You started it.
You're right about that.
And then he would have one in Italy.
You are 100% correct.
It's frustrating.
Thanks for the spoiler alert, jerk. You didn't know you were supposed to let people know that.
Yeah, we're going real time, baby.
We've always gone. The policy of this station, or this program at least, especially in 2026, is we never apologize for covering the story or following the story. And God bless you. We love your loyalty, but if you find that a burden or you find that surprising, that's not on us. That's, unfortunately, on you. Although this could be a bit. It's also
could be
possible if that's the way it goes. Wanted to get to some of the... I did look up Bobby Douglas's quarterback rating his first year.
Yeah.
Our guy's was like 20 points better, although it looks like Douglas only threw 13 passes his first year, even though he was in 12 games, which also tells you how little they
trusted him.
I mean, I guess you could say in the Bears case, it wasn't that they just didn't trust him to throw over the middle. They didn't trust him to throw at all. So eventually he threw more, but I think our guy had a better, even though our guy's quarterback rating was one of the worst in recent memory for a highly touted first-year quarterback. Definitely better than the left-handed chucker, Bobby Douglas.
And in a Covenant cleanup, he did not run for 1,000 yards. He
ran for 900 some?
968, which set a record.
That's what it was.
For quarterback yards at the time. And since then, according to his Wikipedia, half a dozen QBs have rushed for 1,000 yards.
That's it. It wasn't 1,000. It was near it.
He set a record.
And I think I've said this before. You know your career is not meant to be when the best game you ever play, perhaps the only really good game you play, nobody remembers it because in the same game, a player for the opposing team died on the field.
Oh.
A wide receiver named Chuck Hughes. We've talked about this before. I think it ended up being a heart attack or it was some heart issue that was unknown. And Douglas looked like a combination of John Unitas. I got to do some dated quarterback references because this was way back then, and maybe Sid Luckman. And the Bears won the game. And Chuck Hughes, I watched it. I remember it vividly. It still haunts me what I remember about.
I would think it does.
Because they actually put him on this Spartan days. Okay, so they put him on a stretcher on the field. He collapses on the field. They put him on a stretcher, and as they're wheeling him out, one of his arms just flops off of the stretcher, and you could see it was lifeless. There was nothing going on with him. And he passed away on the field. Horrific story.
A heart attack, yeah. Pre-existing severe arterial disease.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Acute coronary thrombosis.
Brutal.
28 years old. In the final minutes of the game. After a 32-yard catch. Man.
By Hughes?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Wow. Yeah, look up Bobby Douglas's numbers in that game. He was a maestro. We didn't even recognize him. So that's not Bobby Douglas. Who is that guy? And that was it. I mean, that really, I think, explains it. Dan, JG, will you please reiterate the horrible road conditions, accidents piling up minute by minute? Well, yeah, it's I think this is going to be a very, very dangerous commute. I don't think it's just the snow and the timing of it, because like here in St. Louis Park, visibility is like 12 feet.
It's a snow globe.
It's a snow globe.
Yeah.
It's a snowami. Started out, rain overnight and wind, and I thought we dodged it. But no, it was the calm before the tsunami. The temperatures start going down enough to where you can get snow in a lot of places. The winds are blowing around, and it's been a mess. But I also think because we've had a relatively dry stretch, I do think you start relaxing a little bit.
Sure.
Not that you think it's over in Minnesota in terms of the winter in mid to late February, but I think you do get out of it a little bit. You go, okay, we're in a different mode right now, and now we feel like we've walked back into the belly of the winter beast. So, yeah, I'm assuming the commute is nightmarish. It certainly looks that way in our location and through other parts of the Twin Cities as well. Let's see if a lot of good text coming in, but we got to stay on schedule, don't we? Let's do that.
I would.
We'll stay on schedule. A lot of good quarterback texts coming in as we reintroduce our ongoing. We need some sort of a vital, fancy name for our Vikings quarterback investigation. What can we call it? It's an ongoing investigation into what happened a year ago, where we're headed, the whole bit. Because then it gives it more gravitas, as we say in the business. And that's what we're back to. I felt we're responsible about leaving it alone for a while, but I felt we were not doing this story justice if we did not acknowledge what Lewis wrote, because I do think it's rather frightening, at least for me.
Should we mention that, the U.S. is up 1-0?
Yes.
And when they go to break, second intermission, we're going to call Micheletti?
Yes.
That'll probably be next segment.
It probably... Oh, well, how much time's left? Yeah, you're right.
About 4.5.
Oh, that little. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the plan is Kessler in studio at 5:30, and if he makes it, that is. And give him the option, though. He's not very hardy. He's not as hardy as he used to be.
That's true.
So give him the option if he would rather just do it by phone. And then, as you mentioned, might as well check in with our good friend Pat Micheletti between periods 2 and 3. Get his response to really both the Canada finish, which was dramatic, and the U.S. 1-0 lead over Sweden as we approach the end of period number 2. Stay tuned. What do you think of Operation Purple Probe? Does that sound too morning showish? Operation
I hadn't thought of
Purple Probe.
It's not bad.
It's the one I like the best so far.
Yeah, I was thinking like CSI QB. It's kind of dated.
Yeah, you could do that.
Is
We could do that.
CSI even still on?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be. No, that's okay. That wouldn't bother me. Quarterback inquiry. No, not alliteration, but it rhymes. There's a few coming in, so we'll keep an eye on those. I do want to get to some texts, and as Garzi mentioned earlier, we're going to, at some point, maybe even this segment, given we're inside the final minute of period 2, U.S. versus Sweden men's Olympic hockey quarterfinal round. Pat Micheletti is going to join us for some instant, we call it instant reaction. I had to text Louis. He forgot Canada was on earlier today. I texted him about a couple of moments in that game, and
wow,
he was on the I think on the exercise bike or the treadmill, and then sprinted upstairs to see the third period.
What is it on? Peacock?
Well, here's the other thing he did. I texted him, and then he texted back saying, "I just tried to call you," and my phone had not rung.
I know that happens.
But here's what I found out. He called. I don't even know how he has this number. My KFAN iHeart work number, which I didn't even think it was still plugged in. And he left a voicemail on that, thinking he was leaving me a voicemail on my cell.
I didn't even know you could do that
I
anymore.
didn't either. Yeah, I had no idea.
All right, we're through 2. We're up 1-0.
All right.
I'm going to call Pat here.
Yeah, call Pat. Meanwhile, I'll get to a couple of texts. Vikings are setting themselves up for a Sam Darnold move, and not the good kind like the Seahawks made, but one like the Jets made. Jets gave up on Darnold after 3 uneven seasons, and look at him now. Vikings are setting up to get out of McCarthy after 3 seasons, of which he will have played 2. Look for him to emerge with the Rams in about 2028 as he takes the mantle from Matthew Stafford and given the Vikings history of misery, hoisting the Lombardi. That's from Dr. Mike. Very well played there. Let's see what else we had. Cousins played worse under KOC than he did under Kubiak. Maybe KOC is not the genius the locals think he is. Line of sight might refer to the tipped passes that he seems to get every game. He can't see over the line. I think J-Mac will be fine if he puts more face paint on. Isn't the bigger question, how did they miscalculate his readiness to play? No question. That's a significant part of it, which we have explored. I thought we had a new hip with it and wow head coach. How on earth did they miss that drastically? Well, that particular point does, I think, sustain the same issue or even reinforce it, the idea that we know they were spectacularly wrong on thinking he was as ready as they hoped to just throw him in there. And we see how unready he is, and we find out another symptom of that unreadiness, and that is that they can't even let him throw the ball over the middle. So it all kind of works together. Let's go to the puck desk, I should say. Pat Micheletti joining us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. After 2 periods, U.S. 1, Sweden nothing. Thanks for helping us out today. Give me your analysis and just sort of the vibe you've picked up through the first 2 periods of this game.
Well, Dan, and thanks for having me, and great to talk to you. I thought the United States needed something, and sometimes in a game, when you're just kind of stuck, you need something to get you going, whether it be a big hit, a big save, a goal, something. And I thought I thought the U.S. started playing a lot better after they scored that goal. And I think it energized them because in that first period, Sweden kind of held the game. I thought, they got pucks in deep, they battled, and when the U.S. was forechecking in that first period, it was kind of a one and done. And so, but I thought the U.S. picked it up late in the second period, and that goal for them was huge.
Describe that play for us. I was looking down at my notes or checking something online. Guardsy did play the Olympic sounder, indicating breaking Olympic hockey news in this case. What happened on that play?
Well, it was a set play right off the faceoff. If you win the draw, you know where you're going to go as a player. If you lose the draw, it's different. Well, Dylan Larkin wins the draw cleanly back to the point, and Jack Hughes was lined up as a winger, down low. Well, as soon as that draw was run, he peeled back to the blue line and got the pass from, I don't know who made that pass to him, one of the defensemen,
right?
And he shot it right away. And Larkin, knowing his responsibility, he goes to the front of the net. And, it was a beautiful play. It's a set play that they talk about, that they prepare for, and they executed it perfectly. And Larkin gets a piece of it and tips it in, and 1-0.
You think, again, 1-0 is not a prohibitive lead. You know how this stuff goes. It's best of one. It's not best of seven. So what's the key in your mind for the U.S. to bring this thing home in the third period?
I think they have to be aggressive because, in big games like this, it's almost like a chess match. You're almost like, I don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah,
I can't
right.
make a mistake. Well, I think for the U.S., they would be better off, in my opinion, just being a little bit more aggressive, getting the puck in and getting some sustained time in the offensive zone, because you don't want to give Sweden did a great job. Their defensemen, we talk about the U.S. defensemen and Hughes and McAvoy and, these offensive guys, but Sweden has a group of D that loves to jump up in the play and get that, what we call the fourth man involved, the three forwards and the defensemen, and they do a really good job of that. So, I think the U.S. needs to be a little bit more aggressive and play with a little bit more confidence and not be timid, if you will. And if they do that, we'll see what happens. Both goaltenders are playing great.
Well, you played the game for a long time, right? I think you're describing, if you play the game of we're not going to make mistakes and try to protect the lead, that's usually the time you start making stupid mistakes, right? That almost is the prescription for it.
Right. It's it's like going into a prevent defense.
Yes.
You see quarterbacks throw the ball downfield, and they pick up all these yards, and all of a sudden from their 20 they're at the other 20, and so I think and with the players that the U.S. has, there's no reason why they can't play with a little more swagger, if that's the right word you want to use, and use the skill that they have, because I think if they do that, they're going to be in good shape. If not, and you have to also realize the U.S. defense is not the biggest D-core, and if Sweden gets in on them and starts banging like they did in the first period, well, that's going to tire the U.S. out. It's going to give opportunities for Sweden to make plays, and they have forwards up front who are as good as the U.S. So, I just like to see him be a little bit more aggressive in the third and take your chances.
All right, the earlier game, which I know you were watching and I was as well, Canada ends up coming from behind, late goal in regulation to tie, and then they win it in OT. The 3-on-3 OT, 4-3. How much trouble did you think Canada was in?
I wasn't worried at all. Even when they were down, I just okay, who are they going to put out there to get the game tying goal?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Celebrini, McDavid, McKinnon, Marner? The list goes on. They are so loaded up front. What concerned me in that game for Canada is that I don't think they defended very well. And that could be, I was worried about Binnington at the start of the tournament. Well, more so now, after watching the Canadian defense, I just didn't think. I thought they were a little loose, and they gave the Czechs an opportunity to win the game, and Bennington bailed Canada out, especially in overtime when they had
That's true.
a great opportunity. So, but up front, Canada is ridiculously scary, and they are going to be awfully tough to beat.
Speaking of tipped goal, wasn't there a tying goal on a pretty nifty tip as well, where the goalie at that point then had no chance where the puck ended up?
Yeah, Devin Taves shot from the point, and that puck was, if you saw the shot, it was going wide,
way
by
wide,
2.5, 3 feet,
right?
And Suzuki, great hands, finds the puck and tips it by him, and so. There's another guy I didn't even mention, Suzuki, right?
Right.
And he's another great player. And so, what might be concerning for Canada, we don't know the status of Sidney Crosby, who got hurt, and did not look good.
It did not.
His right knee didn't come back in the second period, and then all of the third period. So, Crosby's as good as it gets when you get to, the medal round. And so, we'll have to see, his status, for the next game. But Canada, is really, really good and really fun to watch.
The latest reporting I've seen out of Milan is that he's going to undergo imaging, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a severe injury, but as a sign there's concern. Described as lower body, it certainly looked like knee. Here's a quote from John Cooper: "You just rarely see it, and so for him, something definitely went wrong. But he just thought he wasn't in a position to help the team for the rest of the night, and will reevaluate after that." It looked to me like he got jarred, and then he tried to sort of skate it off. And then he ended up getting sandwiched, I think, by two players.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
it started. That was a hard shift for him because he got smoked in the neutral zone.
Right, that's right.
Right by the face-up circle, and went flying all the way into the boards. Gets up, and then the guy who hit him, Gudis, is. He hits as hard as anybody in the National Hockey League. And he hit him twice. And I think the second time is when, his leg kind of went funny. And, it just, very unfortunate for Canada because, I don't know if you're going to find a better leader, overall in that tournament than Sidney Crosby. And so that would be a blow, for Canada if they lose him.
How big a gap do you believe exists, if any, between Canada and the United States in terms of the team makeup and the talent?
Not much, because I would take the USD core over Canada any day of the week. And, the goaltending, the U.S., the U.S. is really three guys that could be number one. They're that good. And Canada, they're relying on Bennington. And so I would give the edge, to the U.S. on their D and their goaltending. And, listen, we talk about the big names, and they are the big names, right? McKinnon and McDavid and Crosby and Celebrini. The U.S. is probably deeper up front, 1 through 4, but their stars are a little bit ahead of the game.
So wasn't there another? Who else got challenged? Was it Finland? Who had to come back and win as well?
Yes, I didn't see the final on that, and you might know if they won more than I.
I think they won. Guardsy, look up. I think they were behind also, had to come back and win.
Whoever won was down 2-0 with like 5 minutes left and got it back.
Swiss, right? That's right. It was the Swiss. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And then, Slovakia, they are the surprise of the tournament right now. They beat Germany today 6-2, and whoever plays them, if the U.S. goes on to win, it'll look like Finland and Slovakia. That's going to be a heck of a game. I'm telling you. Oh, I believe. Well, wait, no, I
think you're right.
I got that wrong. I think it would be Slovakia and the U.S. and then Canada, Finland in the semifinals.
Guardsy,
so,
double check the pairings because I've seen it
because they reseed.
They reseed.
Is that,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, that's true because the U.S. is a 2 seed, right? Yeah, so they would have to correct.
So they would end up playing.
They would play Slovakia if U.S. wins.
Slovakia.
They'd play Slovakia. Canada would play Finland. If Sweden comes back and wins, it'll be Canada. It would be Canada versus Sweden.
Yeah, and and we talked about before the tournament, Canada, U.S.
Yes.
But I tell you, the Finns are an awfully good team. They could be down 4-1 or up 4-1. They don't change their game. They play the same way. Unfortunately for them, Barkov, who plays for the Florida Panthers, 6'4", 220-pound centerman. I mean, just a stud. Is not playing in this Olympics. So, but still, they're an awfully good team.
Tell me what tops Olympic hockey. In all seriousness, I mean, I love that it's best of one. I mean, look, I love series. I understand best of 7 and then the twists and the turns and how you respond to what the other team does. But when you factor in the talent, you factor in the drama of the fact that you just have to win once. I factor in the relative lack of nonsense. There's been some pushing and shoving, but still very little nonsense. I don't think anything tops it.
Well, it's a sore subject with me, Dan, because I got hurt 5 days before the '92 Olympics, which knocked me out of the Olympics. And, but no, there is nothing like it. And you're playing for your country, and you just have no care factor for the guy you're going up against. And it's and that's with every sport there, right? With every Olympics.
That's true.
And that's why the Olympics is so great. And you want to get the gold for your individual self, but on the other hand, you're playing for your country and your teammates, and there's nothing like it.
Yeah, the good news is for all the pre-Olympics fodder and chatter about the locker room's going to be ready and the rink and all that stuff. It's the beauty of it is the play itself, the competition itself has rendered all that meaningless. Nobody cares at this point, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, Sweden, U.S. today. Hey, if Faber's got a deck, Eriksson Ek, well, so be it, right? and that's how it should be.
Right.
You should just not have any care factor for your opponent when it comes to playing and competing and winning and so it's great.
What did this was not why we wanted you on, but now that we do have you on, can you get to the bottom of what Louis did or didn't do to you when it comes to international play? Because I ran it by him. He seemed completely gobsmacked by it, like he didn't have any idea what the hell it was about. And all I had was second and third hand reports that it had come up.
Yeah.
You had brought it up on Beyond the Pond. So what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, I'm gonna speak in defense of Louis because you have to remember he's the general manager of a team trying to put all the pieces together. Yes. I mean, this is at the end of training camp, and we had an exhibition game against the U.S. Olympic team, the team that was going in '88 to Calgary,
right?
And so that lineup that night was really the majority of the guys that were going to get sent down to the American League. And so we played the U.S. I had a great game. We smoked them. And so after the game, Dave Peterson, who was the head coach of Team USA, said, "Hey, if I can get you, would you come?" And I said, "For sure. I'd rather go play in the Olympics than go down in the minors, right?" And so that conversation led to the U.S. team talking to Louis, and it just didn't work out, and that's the story.
Have you ever run
as we know it?
Have you ever run by Louis later? Have you guys ever had
no, because Dan, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because if I would have played for the U.S. team in that Olympic, that would not have allowed me to play on the Italian team.
Interesting.
You know, because you cannot play for two countries.
Right.
And so I was not a rostered member of Team USA. So that allowed me to get my passport, become an Italian citizen, and was able to play on the Italian national team.
So Louis was actually doing you a favor.
He did me the biggest favor ever. Yeah, no question about it. And by the way, that 88 team was not very good.
No, that's what I was going to say. My recollection, I was in Calgary.
That's why they probably asked me to get some scoring and you know, but they got smoked. Yeah. And it was not good. So it was probably
all's well that ends well.
You know, Dan, sometimes things just work out for the best.
They do. Sometimes they do.
And you know, and listen, I was not like, okay, you know, I can't go. I'll go down. You know, and my employer was the Minnesota North Stars. So
that's true.
I had to do what they said, and we did it.
I appreciate the time. I know you want to watch period number 3, which indeed has begun, and we'll be in touch. Thanks for the time, Pat.
Sounds great. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Pat Micheletti helping us out as only he can do. Third period has begun. Looks like another good scoring opportunity, decent scoring opportunity for the U.S. Ends with the puck being smothered around the net. So USA still up 1-0, less than 1 minute into period number 3. We'll keep you posted on that. Kessler in studio is scheduled for 5:30. Back in just